Should I walk? This is the most awkward room I've ever been in. Should I just do like Milan style? Should I just walk and do this? Or do you want me to look in different directions like a tennis match? I'll do it and I'll walk around. My name is Claudio Storelli. I'm the Global Business Manager for the Bloomberg App Store. I'm an ex-McKinsey guy, and I decided to have the best presentation in the house. It's one slide, it's my email address, and our logo. So for all of you guys who like what I'm talking about and later want to follow up with me, just write down that email address and make sure you follow up with me. First of all, thanks for inviting me. I've been meaning to attend these events, but I'm one of those guys that never shows up. There are three messages I want to get across today. First, I want to explain what the Bloomberg App Store is and clarify some usual misconceptions about and then second, I want to talk about even for those of you who may not be interested in creating applications for Bloomberg Terminal users, why is this such a cool event from just a market perspective? And I'll talk a little bit about the disruptive influence that this will have on the industry. And then third, I'll touch briefly on how you get started with this. I know that most of you guys might not be interested in this, so I'll just touch slightly, and then those who are can get in touch with me. So first of all, what is the Bloomberg App Store? Just to clarify, most of you, I assume, are familiar with the Bloomberg Terminal. When we talk about the Bloomberg App Portal or App Store, we're talking about applications and a store for the terminal itself. So it's not a mobile device type of application store. We're talking about the terminal that is in front of 300,000 some professional investors around the world, so I'll call it Wall Street. We now have a function that provides people with a storefront through which people can get access to third-party products that random people around the world, from brilliant PhDs in Romania to large software companies, have created to add on premium features to the terminal. So my favorite analogy, especially since I often give these presentations to Bloomberg people, is to say that the Bloomberg is a Ferrari, best car in the world. And you might have, the Ferrari comes with a stereo, but you might want a super fancy stereo, or you might want features that make the Ferrari fly. You can now get those features on, even though the Ferrari itself has everything you need to do your day-to-day job. So obviously the App Store comes with all the toolkits, all the test data, the development environment, everything you need to build these applications. So why is this such an exciting concept? At the end of the day, if you look at the world today, when my 9-year-old grandma plays Angry Birds on an iPhone, which she bought through an app store, the concept of an app store is hardly groundbreaking. So clearly we didn't come up with it. But what was cool about the app stores and what's cool in this context is that when you think about why they were so impactful and a powerful force, is that they end up making it much easier for different content providers to have access and visibility to a set of users that before were kind of out of reach, usually through means that those users are using on a daily basis. So think about mobile devices like iPhones or smartphones and then tablets. The app stores there allowed the content provider to be able to reach users in daily moments when they were not in front of a desktop device. Similarly, when you think of other products that maybe are more desktop-oriented, like Salesforce.com or Facebook, opening up the ability for apps to integrate gives the ability to third-party providers to get in front of a user when they're looking at something all day long. A lot of people are looking at Facebook all day long, the way that investment professionals are looking at the Bloomberg all day long. So what's cool about the Bloomberg Terminal creating an app store is that suddenly you have all of the Wall Street population, let's say, starting in the morning, first thing they do, they open the Bloomberg Terminal. Last thing they do is that they shut off the Bloomberg Terminal. And those trading floors are extremely hard to get on. It's extremely hard for any product, for any app provider, any software company to come up with a great idea and then market it to that market. So the market has really been insulated from a lot of the innovation. If you're two really smart guys from Stanford in a Palo Alto garage, you're hardly going to think about devoting your time and attention to innovating in the financial services market. You're likely going to think about creating an app for your iPhone or competing with Google. And yet, when you think about industries that have a true impact and make real waves in the real economy, arguably Wall Street is really high up on the scale because you're influencing the allocation of capital in society. So the cool thing about the App Store is that when you think about the competitive dynamics and the impact of opening up an App Store, you almost have a democratization of the market, or really you're lowering the barriers to entry. So let's take as an example the video game industry in 15 years ago, and then let's compare it to the video game industry today. If you think about video games 15 years ago, you will have oligopoly, effectively, of large companies creating blockbuster-like video games that were sold through very standard retail channels. GameStop, I don't even know if GameStop was around, Blockbuster, the main channels. And to be able to get there, you needed to prove that you had the marketing budget, you needed to prove that you had a product that was really almost like Hollywood-style caliber. You fast forward and you think about what happened when the App Store opened up, and suddenly those two guys in Palo Alto can compete head-to-head with the bigger firms because they now have access to the same users. And all of the barriers to entry that first existed are now, many of them are now removed. And so the effect was that you went from an industry where you had a couple of hundred video games on the shelves to an industry where you have hundreds of thousands of games created by people that are almost buying lottery tickets and creating all these cool things, hoping the stuff sticks. And then the big firms had to change their business model to adapt to the new ways of the competition. And the impact is that suddenly you have the two guys in a garage are actually able to make a lot of money and have a lot of impact in the world thanks to this. So the Bloomberg App Portal, in some sense, does the same thing except in Wall Street. We launched in November globally, and we now are working with over 300 product providers, and some of them are literally two-people shops in Romania, literally. And some of them are large software companies. But the really cool aspect of it is that everybody has an equal playing ground, and everybody's trying to figure out how to crack the market. So it's for anybody that has a great idea, anybody that has great IP, that one is a perfect platform to capture an opportunity in financial services. Now, let me talk quickly about how someone gets started and how the application portal works technically. Every time we install a Bloomberg terminal, we install a secure runtime environment with the terminal that allows us to run some of the functions locally. So they're desktop applications, it's better for the UI, better for the user experience. And then these applications talk back to our data center, usually to pull data, and in many cases for our Bloomberg functions to have some of the heavier calculations done on the data center. What we're doing through the Bloomberg App Portal is leverage the same infrastructure that we built. We have the biggest private network in the world. We are already trusted by all the biggest financial institutions, so we can already get on all of those desktops, and we can do that in a very secure way, plus power up every application we deploy with all the data that Bloomberg has. So it really brings together a very powerful app deployment mechanism and an app nourishing mechanism that allows anybody with a great idea to pump it through our network and get it in front of all the users. So since we're talking about data, what type of data can applications consume? One, with every Bloomberg terminal, people are also buying access to the data. So all the market data you can possibly think of is available to the application and no cost to the developers. It just comes with it. It's like your playing ground. If you can think of cool things to do with the market data, you can do it. We can then pipe back to any data center that you might have in your own cloud, which means that you can crawl Twitter, Facebook, you can do whatever cool stuff you want. If you're creating your own data, you can use that. So you can get all these additional external data and synthesis, bring it in, add it with the real-time market data. You can then, 2 minutes, you can then contribute to it or add to it the trader's positions, so transaction data, positional data, everything that they're doing, all of this fully integrated in the Bloomberg workflow. So the user, the application will live and breathe just like any Bloomberg function, so it can be saved as part of their view. The moment the user starts the Bloomberg, the application pops up automatically, consumes all the data, and then you can right-click and launch Bloomberg functions. It basically lives and breathes like a Bloomberg function. So it's, again, we've only been a couple of months in the works, but we already have a couple of really big success stories with one provider grossing over $10 million a year already, which is a pretty big success story. What we're doing on the business side is that we're really trying to figure out what clicks and what makes applications click. It's a market where nobody has really played. It's almost like being at the beginning of the iPhone App Store and trying to figure out what will make an application sell and what doesn't. And since we share the business model is based on a royalty share, just like Apple, 30%, 70% to the developer, we become the partners of the app provider. So we both eat what we kill. So we both have, our interests are fully aligned, and we both work day to day trying to figure out what is the way to create the best content and get in front of the users. So we're gathering a lot of that intelligence. We track everything. Anybody that works with us get a Google Analytics-like platform so they can track all the hits they're getting and who's consuming what, et cetera. And I think we're already above target, and I think it's going to be a really fun ride. So again, if you have a good idea, which I assume all of you guys have, and if your idea is relevant for the financial world, write down their email address. This is like the pioneer stages of the App Store, but for Wall Street. So we're literally, this is a greenfield opportunity. If you guys have a great idea, you might be that success story. And remember, we have a TV station, we have a news organization behind it. We will give major coverage to anybody that makes it big. So let's have some fun together. Let's disrupt the market. Email me. I'll send you everything, and hopefully we get to work together. Great. Thank you.
Thank you. While we set up the next, any question for Claudio?
I was trying to run away from questions.
Hi, Claudio.
Yeah.
So, general question is, Bloomberg, obviously, the terminal's been around for, 30 years or nearly 30
And
years?
it still looks the same.
Exactly. Well, but it still works great functionally, obviously. In your opinion, do you think that this App Store and this new way of bringing functionality to customers through the Bloomberg terminal is a precursor to the Bloomberg terminal becoming more than just a tool for financial organizations? Or that we'll see the Bloomberg terminals on the branch out as being a tool for more media-centric institutions in terms of delivering data to the more specific to other verticals that are outside of finance?
So I'll tell you my personal opinion, right? I think this opened up the stage for us becoming a platform that targets additional markets, right? And I'm already seeing it with some of the proposals that come to us. We'd say, we have all this really large network of banks, for example, and sometimes they target set of, say, for example, investment relationship professionals. They might not be in front of a Bloomberg, but if they're really interested in getting to that audience, then you can see how their application might constitute a big part of the workflow, plus you add our data and the rest of the functionalities, and together you suddenly have a very compelling product offering. So I think it will open up the ability for Bloomberg to target customer sets that so far have been kind of outside of their realm. Yes.